What's up guys, Josh here with Building Whitetails, and a lot has happened since the last episode.
I've said it before, you'll hear me say it again, I will continue to say it. Help the deer do what deer want to do.
So I've hit on being super strategic about you guys' hunting plans and wind direction and access. We've gone over all that for 2 years now, last year 2020 and 2021 now. And guys, that's what I did on my buck for this year 2021 was I waited and I waited and I waited and I waited till conditions were absolutely perfect. Went in and shot him on the first night, first sit of 2021. So it was pretty positive we were gonna get that deer down early on. We did, very thankful, very fortunate, and it was a great buck. But guys, deer season's not over. We still have so much to go over. Okay, so we are entering that time of year, guys, that us as whitetail hunters just dream of. The whole conception of rut, pre-rut, rut, post-rut. We're gonna go over 3 different phases of that, if you will, that have really, I've observed and implemented on my various farms on how to capture the early phase, the peak phase, and the late phase of the rut. And I hate to put dates on it, but I'm going to. It's just kind of a general reference. Now guys, this is going to change depending on your geography, weather patterns, what's planted in the various fields that you might be hunting. I'm just gonna throw out October 25th to November 5th. Guys, this is, what are the does doing? The does will almost always be on food sources. So bucks will be doing what the does will be doing in regards to early phases of the rut. Bucks are gonna be in the food sources, checking for those first does that are coming into heat. And I have time and time again seen where that has been really successful. I've seen a lot of big deer get shot in the early phase of the rut over food sources, whether it be greens or grain. I like, if you guys have seen in the past, having an option of both. But that's worked really well for me. For the peak phase of the rut, let's go over that real quick. Peak rut, guys, this is the time of deer season that probably gets the most hype. It's the time where it's just utter chaos in the deer woods. There's fighting and grunting and chasing and does bleeding and it's just kind of the peak of activity that we just love to see and experience. Those cold mornings when bucks are chasing does and fighting, it's awesome. But one thing I want to touch on real quick is what leads to the best experience in the deer woods, because that's what we're out there for. We're out there for the experience, age structure, and quality structure in your deer herd. You want to have young bucks, and good bucks are, medium age class bucks and old bucks. Herd management is something that's just really a whole art in itself, and something that needs to be worked on extremely and a lot of time dedicated to. So during this peak rut phase, I'm going to be focusing on pinch points because I know I'll be able to see a lot of deer activity, but how can I see a lot of that deer activity up close? What can I do to get that deer in range? Because that's kind of the key point, is I want to get that deer in for the closest, most ethical shot that I can get. So I'm going to be using geography for one, land terrain, things of that nature, whether it's ditches or field edges or pinches in the timber. You're going to look for those pinch points on your property that really, are going to bring the deer activity in tight. So that's kind of the spectrum of the rut. If I'm going to put a date on it, I'm going to say November 6th through, leading up to about the 20th of November. Omega, my buck from 2 years ago, I shot him, I think on the 14th it was, of November, in a pinch point, following a doe. And so, pinch points are really kind of the areas of your farm and where you're hunting that you're gonna have the best chance at getting these deer in bow range. third phase of the rut. Guys, this is my favorite part of the rut. I know pre-rut and peak rut get so much, emphasis, and they're great times to hunt. But there's a small window at the end, I'd say about November 22nd through the 1st of December. These are rough dates, just keep that in mind, but this is observation that I've seen. It's a small window where mature bucks let their guard down, I think the most that they will out of an entire 365-day year. They're looking for that last possible doe that's coming into heat. They're willing to sacrifice a little bit of safety in regards to find that doe, and that doe is oftentimes doe fawns. This is their first estrus cycle. They come in later than the other does typically, if they do come into that cycle that first year of life. But they're, the mature does for the most part are back on food. The fawns are they're doing what they know, and that is to either follow mature does or go back to food. They haven't completed a full 365-day cycle of their life yet. So those mature bucks are going to be looking for those last does. Like I said, oftentimes it is those doe fawns, and they're just going to be back on food. So I hit food that end part of November all the way through December. And bucks will also be beginning to think about putting weight back on, because they've lost a massive amount of pounds just from running, fighting, breeding during this whole rut cycle. They're going to be eating food, but they're also going to be hunting really hard for that last doe that's going to be coming into heat. So this is, guys, like I said, this is my observation. I'm not going to say somebody's right or wrong and based off what they see, but use your cameras, watch, learn, pay attention to all the deer. Don't just look for the mature buck. Look, because mature buck is chasing does. Watch your does, learn your does, see what the does do, learn why they do it, and really, really hone in on that. It'll make you a better deer hunter. It'll make you just a better outdoorsman and land manager. So that's all I got for this episode for November. We're gonna go over green versus grain. We've got both here, and I like to have a combination of both on my farm at all times. And we're gonna, we're late season, it's all about food. Deer are slaves to their stomachs. That's a term I heard one time. I think it's absolutely spot on. So we're gonna go over that, green versus grain, what to look for, and how to hunt it in regards to the end part of deer season. Guys, best of luck and be safe in the woods. We'll see you next time.